Oh, it appears that they have already started. And very different indeed. One in the house, one in the sanctuary. And nothing good in either side.
So this divergence of routes right away leads one to think of what are the possible different strategies. Common strategy that John might do. Oh, hold on. From the map check, it looks like we have Hera as a pendant and Desert and Eastern as crystals.
Ah. That's a quite quick map check. We don't usually get those in the tournament. Quite good for us to get an early one. Panda already heading to see the uncle. You know, this is not standard mode, but you can do that.
Yeah, and if he happens to have a sword or a hammer, you can combo it with an escape. Pretty standard, but who knows? As we see, the first tree pull on John's side is a bunch of full magic.
Ooh. Let's see. Our first opportunity to find out if Aga 1 might be required. Just the card container.
Of course, that could still be the only option into the Dark World for now. Moon Pearl on the Pyramid Ledge, or even more weirdly, it could happen that you might be required to do Aghanim to do Fat Fairy. If the hammer is locked behind Fat Fairy, it might be your only way.
Indeed, we did see that in one of the races that happened, I think, today. Not much major yet. Getting some 20 rupees in the forest. It's small cash, but it is something useful early game.
Yeah, what some runners do is they do the Houlihan strategy to stock up on that money early game. It's really important early game. Of course, if you don't get bombs, you can buy them from the bomb shop in Kakariko, get bottle vendor money, save up for Zora.
Indeed.
John's coming up on Kakariko soon, so we'll see how much it has.
Always a veritable treasure trove in there, but sometimes all the treasures is just another man's trash.
It's all the boomerangs and single arrows, but they have their use.
Indeed. No bombs heading straight into Blind's hut. I guess he's hoping to find some in the chests.
I mean, with 4 chests there, and with the amount of just plain old bombs there are in the vanilla game, it is a possibility. However, unfortunately, that wasn't the case for John this time. He did, however, find a small shield.
And a lot of money if he does happen, or if he does need to buy bombs.
Yeah, you can also check Bottle Vendor, save up for Zora. Zora's gated at least 1 seed this tournament so far.
Oh, there they are. Quite on time. And Panda opting to go first to the well. That would be a small time save of finding the bombs there.
Interesting choice.
Mostly standard here, both doing a lot of the same things as you would expect on the beginning. Now, what would be some interesting and different things for them to find here in Kakariko? Something that would send them in wild places that we don't usually see. The bug net is not one of them.
Well, I mean, if you get like a cape and a sword, you could go to Aga, and Fighter Sword Aghanim is always a fun time for the runners.
Indeed. That's a very painful tower to climb with a dinky sword.
And with the Bugnet, they can do the Swagnum strats. No time save, but makes them look cool.
Yeah. Although to do it properly, they would also need the lamp, because without the lamp, it would technically be a sequence break. But if they can do it, they can do it.
Aghanim is one of the hardest lampless rooms to do, in my opinion, but who knows how versed the runners are.
Yeah. The panda sadly throwing away a bomb there. Now checking the library and the racing game. Just some red rupees. Unlikely that anybody's gonna get that.
Another interesting thing is if they get some of the items for Death Mountain, then you have the choice, such as maybe if they get a flute and a hookshot, that could be telling them to go early Death Mountain. Then you have the choice of that, or maybe check some of the other places and hope for Titans, Moon Pearl, Hammer, so that you can further explore Death Mountain instead of having to make multiple trips there.
Yeah, so other thing that would hopefully take them to very different places, because that's always the things you like to see in races, I assume.
John heading off into the dam now. Let's see what he'll find here. So far, they haven't found many items. Kakarika was a complete bust aside from the bug net.
Indeed. Nothing really that will help them progress in the seed.
Although Sitkut could still be hiding something.
And if they don't get a better weapon, that Moldorm cave with just bombs is not going to be fun at all.
It's never a fun thing to do. Fortunately, they both have a lot of explosives to get them through there.
Oh, there's a hammer. Talking of weapons, now I do believe it's not a real randomizer race if the commentators don't say that hammer does tempered sword damage.
Indeed it does. Now this hammer could send them off into various different places, depending on what they find here in Moldorm Cave. Hammer allows them to do the escape portions, and if they're versed in Lampless, they can head off to the back without the power gloves. Alternatively, if they get some other items, that's half of what they need for Dark World if they find the Moon Pearl and some gloves. It opens up a lot of options.
Truly something that will hopefully send them in different directions like we were hoping for.
Powder? Hammer and Powder, they can actually check that right now. And the Ice Rod.
Not gonna be trolling us this seed. Or it might by not being required.
Although with such an easy Ice Rod, you have to think, is the seed going to send them to T-Rock super early?
Hammer is another thing that is necessary to enter T-Rock, so it could be possible.
Moon Pearl, Samaria, Fire Rod, Titans. It's quite a lot of items, but it's also a lot of items that aren't required. And unfortunately, Panda taking a death here.
Oh no. Was that on the Moldorm cave?
I believe so.
John opting to check Ice Rod Cave. It's a very far cave, but you do not want to miss it if it has something important.
Yeah. And if he's feeling up to it, he might combo with the fake flipper, see what Hobo has.
Oh, that's something not important, but...
Yeah, Red Boomerang early on can be really useful, especially with only a hammer. It's a much harder weapon to use than a sword, so you could stun an enemy and then hit him with a hammer. They could also see what the stun drop is. Might be something useful.
True indeed. The panda attempting the cave again. See if he does better this time. Or she, I do not know.
And we see John heading up to the castle. Not a bad idea, considering he has some heavy weaponry under his belt.
Ooh, ending Uncle's life there by removing his poor heart.
Now, a lot of good items have been at Eastern Palace lately, so a good early Eastern tech is usually what you want to do. We'll see if either of those runners go there, or if they find, say, the Moon Pearl in Escape, if they'll work about heading straight to Dark World.
True. It's worth remembering too that if you fake flipper, you can also reach Eastern Palace from the lake. A very quick maneuver.
Plus Hasrla having those 3 items, that's 6 items that don't really require a lot of items to get.
Oh, looks like our stun prac is a key.
And that wasn't the stun drop, that was just the... Yeah. But we get a sword in the first chest in Escape on John's side. That'll help tremendously. And if we get a cape that could be, well, and a lamp that could be Aghanim.
But I doubt either would be going to Aghanim this early on.
Yeah,
it's a
and
big
with
time waste.
Yeah, and with a hammer, it's extremely unlikely. And another shield upgrade. Fire Shield does have its uses with blind fights and mainly just blind, but it can be useful. Panda picking up a glove upgrade.
It's also pretty big.
Yeah, just a Moon Pearl and they've got Dark World access.
I'm gonna use some pots to help with the fight.
And it looks like Panda is going for the early Eastern play. We'll see how this pays off. Not many places that they can actually check right now. All things considered, they've got Aghanis Cave in the desert, and Eastern if they don't want a sequence break.
Right. They could also, if they don't want to, if they do want a sequence break, there's the option of Death Mountain.
Although with just a hammer, no hookshot, no mirror, they only have access to 2 items. Then of course there's Fake Flippering, that can get you a bunch of stuff.
It can get you more stuff if you even have the Moon Pearl, since you can access the Waterfall Cave.
Yeah. And also, if they find the boots, there's the option of water walking onto the Zora Ledge item. It's a new glitch that was recently discovered. As the chat is pointing out, Zora is an option because they do have the gloves, so they can get there without sequence breaking if they feel the desire to grind up another 150 rupees.
True. We might see one of them going to Houlihan now.
John could be heading there. Looks like it. No, he's going for the back end of Escape. Not a bad idea if he's uncomfortable with Lampus. Actually, they didn't get a small key, so he has to do this. King JNF. It's a convoluted glitch involving the boots where you buffer a water walk with a fake flipper. So you fake flipper and jump off the Zora Ledge waterfall, and that triggers the fake flipper, or the water walking, so that you can not get warped out. It's a very difficult and a new glitch that was recently discovered, though, so it's unlikely that we'll see it used.
And JohnRossums finding said key for the escape in one of the 3 chests with nothing else useful there, but opting not to check it, probably due to it being a dark room and rather complicated one.
It is technically a sequence break. Also on Panda's side, we see him going through Eastern, Dark Room in Eastern, nothing really good appearing. So it looks like the Moon Pearl is either at the Magic Bat where John's headed, or at Agana in the desert. I'd place my money on the Magic Bat.
Ooh.
Highly unusual to have a Magic Bat check this early, but...
On the seed gives you these things.
Gotta follow the breadcrumbs. And there's the Moon Pearl at the bat. And Panda finding just a compass in the big key chest in Eastern. Unfortunately, the early Eastern play did not work for him this time.
But since it is a crystal, they will eventually have to return to it. He won't have to check all of the items again. John might not need to either if he's in go mode, but you never know.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of late bows lately, so who knows how long it'll take to get there. Dark World open, and looks like John's headed right for Hype Cave. We'll see how hype it really is. This Panda's headed for the escape. He's a bit behind after that Eastern gamblet didn't pay off. However, there's still plenty of time to catch up.
And Hype Cave was almost being renamed for not being as hype as it used to be. So let's see if we do.
I saw a run earlier today that was super hype, but we'll see what we have. So far, nothing. Oh, Bombos, that could be useful. Samaria. The Boots. I'd say that's pretty hype.
Okay, yeah, that's considerably hype.
Bonk Rock's open, and Samaria furthers the theory of a possible early T-Rock gamble.
And Bombos too, if Bombos is the one required.
Yeah.
Yarn Dark World, he also hasn't done a map check yet, but I suppose he will soon enough.
The flute! Looks like he made the absolute right call going through that portal instead of the Village of Outcasts portal. It's a more common portal in my experience, however, that was not the right way to go this time.
Or maybe it also was, and both sides have good things, but never expect such nice things from Randomizer.
Yeah, give Rando an inch and it'll take a mile.
Activating his swag duck. Swiggity swooty, I do not know how to swing. He will probably do the things in Dark Kakariko now, but wanting to activate that flute as soon as possible is also not a bad idea.
That also gives them access to Death Mountain without a sequence break. We also note that John, I don't believe, checked the Bonk Rock when he went here from Sanctuary.
True.
That might end up biting him later. John headed right for Skull Woods. Not necessarily a bad call. It's fairly short, especially if the two items are front-loaded.
And not only that, we've been seeing a lot of progression items in the Skull Woods recently. Makes you wonder. The panda going to grind some rupees. Maybe goes to Zora.
I think that's what he's going to do. That could be bad for him if he doesn't realize the magic bat has the Moon Pearl. He might have forgotten. Half magic. A very nice safety item.
No small keys on these first two chests, so he has to visit the Room of Bad Luck.
We haven't been seeing no small keys on the left side much lately, but it can still happen. I don't believe they've checked Stun Pack, either that or we've missed it.
Yes, I do not believe I saw it either. And a shovel!
Well, that is both items early on.
Right indeed.
Panda
checking desert.
Will that shovel lead him onto a wild goose chase? We have an Agana play on Panda.
As John does his darker recoatings.
Unfortunately, neither of those paying off for either player. No map check, so we still don't know if Thieves Town, which they can fully clear, or Skull Woods are required or not.
I suspect he will check the map before entering Thieves Town. Or
If
he
he
will
enters,
just... Oh.
if he enters Thieves Town, Fighter Sword doesn't matter for blind, but there's still plenty of enemies there that can deal a lot of damage. There's only 6 hearts. It's gonna be a risky play.
But it is at least enough to check the first 4 chests, which might have something very good.
And again, they all might be the map, compass, big key, and small key.
True as well.
Panda realizes that Magic Bat is accessible, and he's heading there. And John is heading into Thieves Town without a map check.
Are you hearing the music or not? I'm not.
I don't hear any music on my end, so we don't know if it's a pendant or a crystal.
He did find one item already.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be of much use to him.
Oh.
And he gets death. Yeah, that's one of the main risks about diving into Thieves Town. By vanilla gameplay, it's the 4th of the 7 crystals, and so we've got enemies that can easily do 2 hearts of damage to a green tunic Link. With only 6 hearts maximum, that's not many hits he can take. We still can't hear it on the mixer, Clifford, but that might just be me.
No, I'm not hearing it either. But there's a map, and the only item left for him is the big key, so truly not very useful. Oh, there was a
like
map check. Panda.
We had a map check. Unfortunately, I missed a lot of it, but looked like Crystal 3 was up on Turtle Rock, and I think Skull Woods was a pendant.
And I saw Thieves Town being Crystal 7, but our tracker Blastag is probably keeping very good track of that.
Panic at getting his hype cave hypeness.
Oh, it appears JohnRossums is going deeper into Skull Woods. A brave play.
Could pay off big time if it works well for him and Panda doesn't enter there due to the low health and safeties.
He does have powder as well, so that helps.
Powder is definitely a nice thing to have at this point. Panda picking up his flute and following much the same route that John did, with only the time differential of checking Eastern.
Do not worry, Blessing, they have not found any useful item in Thieves Town.
Looks like our 3 pendants today are Pod, Hera, and Skull, with Pod being the green. Desert and Mire being crystals 5 and 6.
They do need only one more item to theoretically be able to enter Mire.
Just the power gloves. So they could technically finish it, which is pretty nasty.
With 6 hearts and only the fighter sword, it's not something you want to do.
I can't imagine any of them doing that any soon, if they do get the opportunity.
Thieves Town still not paying off at all.
And unless I missed it, I don't think Panda with his boots checked the bonk rock either.
It's the second 10 arrow pack in Thieves Town.
While having a lot of arrows can be useful, it is possible to run out.
Now, a blind fight with 6 hearts, do you think he would use the sword or the cane or a mixture of both?
I'd use the cane in his situation, it's generally a lot safer. And Blastig, our tracker, I don't believe that we had any items here in Thieves Town. Panda's going for the Death Mountain play. Interesting call with only 2 items being able to be checked. Technically only 1, if he doesn't do the lampless old man. Unfortunately, John taking a death.
Apparently nothing on Death Mountain.
John taking another look at the map, seeing that it's a pendant or crystal dungeon, and he's decided, okay, I need to do this eventually. He's gonna dive right back in.
Persistence is definitely something good to have.
Although not necessarily in this case. It might be a wiser idea to come back later, perhaps when he has Titan mitts, so that he can check combo it with smithy, hammer pegs. Although blind does have an item. Half magic, putting that cane to work, that is a pretty good idea.
I'd say it's time to hit and run.
Panda doing the Dark Old Man rescue.
Are they meeting for their weekly game of cards? Oh, it looks like he bet high but only got low amounts of money.
And John taking another unfortunate death.
Oh no.
Looks like he's gonna come back later once he has more hearts and a better safety gear. I don't blame him. After dying twice, he's probably feeling rather infuriated. Looks like now he's going to go check the shovel item, maybe. Panda, if I had to guess, is going up to the pyramid area. Might be seeing a catfish play.
And also... You go ahead.
Although with Pod being a green pendant, he might not want to dip in there yet.
Especially without the bow. Might be bow locked.
And without the lamp, don't know how comfortable he is with a lampless Pod, but it's not the most easy, especially the dark maze.
Digging game only having a heart container.
But the bow on the pyramid, now that is important.
Now he could definitely go check Pod. But being a green pendant again, might not want to do it straight up.
Especially without the lamp. Although, if he hadn't checked Eastern, he probably would have comboed those two together. But instead we have a catfish play. Not necessarily a bad idea, you're already up here. It's got an item.
It's rare that you have the opportunity to pass by him.
John finally getting the bonk rock, but it's just being a heart piece. You've got to think about how that bow might influence John. He might get that bow and then he might go into Eastern. I believe the Armos Knights has an item. So if it's something useful, that might give John the advantage. Panda already checked most of Eastern, so he might not go back for quite a while.
Going out to the light world. That could be going back to Eastern.
Looks like he is. He's not even, well, I suppose he doesn't have the mirror. If he did have the mirror, it'd be a wise idea to just dip into Pod for a little bit, then mirroring out, but getting the crystal out of the way, it's never a bad idea. As John is following Panda's footsteps on Death Mountain. Again, not going to find anything important or useful.
Now again, Eastern Palace also needs the lamp for the back half, so it is also a what's the name?
Sequence break.
Sequence breaking. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, you're right. And Eastern Palace Dark Room is never the easiest. So, we'll see if he manages to pull it off. If he is, and the Armless Knights does have an item, John might not be as comfortable with Dark Rooms. That could give Panda an edge.
Though having bombos, he can probably clear out a lot of the enemies, leaving him to take less damage.
True. Very true. As we dig up the mirror on John's side. Now that is a big item.
If he checks the pyramid, he could try comboing Eastern and Pod.
He looks like he's going back up Death Mountain, though. I don't blame him.
Hera.
He's got the mirror, he can do Hera, he's got the hammer for East Death Mountain.
Oh no, Panda taking a death.
It is a very difficult Dark Room to do. But he's going back at it, he's pretty determined. So we know what all the pendants are. Let's brainstorm. What could possibly be on the pedestal, if anything? We need the lamp for Pod. We need the fire rod for Skull Woods. But there's nothing stopping, say, a hook shot from being on the pedestal.
Also, some medallion for T-Rock or Meyer is always a possibility.
Yeah, and we could still definitely see that early T-Rock play if the cards line up correctly. In fact, we could even see a Titan Mitt on the pedestal.
Oh yes. Now that would be something you don't see every day.
No.
Now, can you imagine if it was a Titan Mitt without having the book to check it?
That is never a fun idea. Although, what would be worse is a mushroom, because then, and a book to check it, so then you'd be indecisive of, do I check it or do I not check it? But on Panda's stream, it looks like he's actually managed to get through the dark room.
Ah, very good. Perseverance. Let's see if it pays off with the Armo's items, though.
If it does, that could be a huge turning point in the race for him.
As John checks his Paradox Cave.
Although that mirror could give Panda quite a bit of trouble. He hasn't been to the Village of Outcasts yet, and that's where the shovel's located, and that mirror is an item that you never want to pass up.
John finding the Superior Cane. Ooh, Panda only being rewarded with some red rupees.
And John finds the lamp.
Yes. Now the Eastern and Pod combo might be looking a bit better, but Pod still being a pendant.
Yeah, you've got to imagine that when Panda finds that lamp, he's going to be a bit on the annoyed side, having to go through all those dark rooms and dying in them, and then realizing that he didn't have to in the first place.
That has been said in chat. Hera is also now fully beatable with a fire source to check the basement, if needs be.
Could be something like a fire rod in the Hera basement. Who knows?
Not checking the the floating island for us.
Half magic and Burna means that they can actually check Spike Cave as another option. Panda doing his Village of Outcasts clearing, and who looks like we might need that fire source. We find a small key.
An early key, not something you like to see. Look at that boomerang coming in useful.
It does have its uses. It was required. So John, going to be doing tile room. Never anyone's favorite room. Let's see if he does the invincibility trick.
It's a pretty good room for a break, at least. Look at that. Probably refilling his water.
Stretch your hands, think of your next strategy. After Hera, if it doesn't pay off, what's he planning on doing?
Probably gonna check either Spy Cave or a Spiral Cave.
He already checked Spiral Cave on the way down, but Spike Cave would be a really good play. He's already up here, and that Burna could be a trail of breadcrumbs. Panda's in Thieves Town. Let's see if he can do it with less deaths than John can. He might be able to catch up. Right now, a good play for John after this is probably to get that bow, do pod, do Eastern. He doesn't know Eastern isn't useful, but it's still a thing he can get out of the way. With that mirror, he can mirror straight from pod, pod's green pendant. That seems like where the seed wants them to go.
Not too many options, or even for having the hammer.
Yeah, the hammer is a very useful item, but without the Titan's mitts, a lot of items are still locked. And John...
Oh, there's the second item.
John isn't completing the dungeon. I don't blame him, considering it's a pendant dungeon. However, if he does need to backtrack up here for pedestal, that could be a bit of a time loss.
That's why at this point in the race, nobody is expecting a pedestal yet.
Nobody expects a pedestal at all. But he didn't check Spike Cave either. We'll see where John heads off to next. He might be going to the graveyard with that mirror. Can check King's Tomb and the Graveyard Ledge, two items that are often forgotten about.
And as well get some info on Bumper Cave.
He can't get it, but in the off chance that it's something important, he'll know when he gets that cape he needs to book it straight for the north. Oh, John's heading back into Thieves Town to deal with Blind. I'd forgotten he hasn't killed Blind, and with Burna that does make Blind a lot easier. So that's not necessarily a bad decision, especially if, as we know, Blind is holding on to an item. This could be a good play for him, and with Panda right behind him, this could even the race out quite a bit if it's something like the Titan mitts.
Yes, but Panda would still be without his mirror, which requires him to go into Skull Woods.
Very true. However, if Panda can manage to get, say, Titan mitts before, and a hook shot, or just the mirror and Titan mitts before he heads off to Death Mountain, he could do East Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain without having to double diff, meaning that could give him some time advantage over John.
True as well. Ooh, sadly, Blind does not have anything of use.
It's still a crystal out of the way. Them being tied with crystals. Eastern done for Panda, and Thievestown done for John.
Let's see also if Panda can beat Blind on his first time.
He does have more.
Heart.
John going for the north, like we suspected. Going for another map check. Perhaps he'd forgotten which was which. Taking a long look around.
Probably updating his tracker.
Indeed. If they do get the Titan mitts, we could see a desert play. They can't, they might not necessarily be able to do Mire if it's not Bombos to let them enter. However, desert could be holding quite a few key items.
And the Mire area also has some items as well.
Or maybe they might be able to combo Mire and desert. Those are crystals 5 and 6. So we could be looking at a fat fairy soon.
Oh, there's the hook shot. Which is again behind the mirror, which is behind Skull Woods.
Although it looks like Panda might be heading in that direction right now.
A good idea.
Although he takes the wrong entrance into the Skullwoods, it would appear. Nothing at King's Tomb, but that hookshot gives him access to a few more spots. Just flippers away from doing Swamp, which could be pretty important. 6 items there. It's a long dungeon that nobody wants to do, however. In a crystal seed, with it a crystal, and this early, that could be a gold mine.
Ooh, going to desert. Gonna check the Agana. Not gonna find anything of use except a bit of love.
Interesting how he went to Agana over checking the pyramid, catfish, pod. Panda picking up his half magic. He'll greatly appreciate that. Another item that they're always looking for is sword upgrades. They're only at a fighter sword, and that is not necessarily what they want. Panda picking up his shovel. You have to imagine he'll be checking that soon. You might save and quit to Link's house, go check that shovel, get his mirror. And that appears to be exactly what he's doing.
And John still hasn't checked the backside of Escape. Oh, going for the chest in the middle.
Yeah, with the lamp that's a lot easier to get. I don't believe you saw that on Panda's side either, so this could be an item that is useful too. Such as Titan mitts. Although you have to be wondering, if it is an important item, you have to be wondering, will John be thinking, am I so far behind because I didn't do the darkroom strat? Got these mind games in play. Fortunately for John, however, it's just a pile of bombs. Panda following John's footsteps, heading off to Death Mountain. We'll see how this pays off. As John, he looks like he's going to make the pod play. No, he's just heading for Eastern.
Another good thing of Pod being the green pendant is that it's right next to Sahasrara, so you can just exit it and mirror and you're there.
Indeed. Although you have to be wondering what will John do after he does Eastern. We know Eastern doesn't have any useful items, and he'll be running quite short. In fact, did he not pick up the bow? He didn't have the
No, not
bow.
yet. Oh, right. That's true.
So this is going to be an unfortunate double dip for him. He probably panicked and was thinking, Eastern play, it usually always has something important, and I didn't do it. I better just go there right away. It might have the bow, it might have Titans. I don't know what it has. And unfortunately, in this situation, it didn't have anything. Now we see Panda finishing up East Death Mountain. I wonder what he'll do after this. We know where the hookshot is, but without the Titan mitts, that doesn't give him many options. So you have to wonder, is he going to jump into Pod when he gets his lamp and, well, yeah, his lamp? Because right now I'd say the races are pretty even.
He might also check the spy cave that we didn't see from John.
That is another possibility with Berna, and a good one at that. He'll probably re-enter Hera, finish that off. Given how breadcrumbs usually work, I would not be surprised if we saw something major in Spike Cave like the Fire Rod or Titan Mitts. Maybe even the book for a desert. Despite the fact that they don't have many items, they aren't that far from Go Mode. We know where the bow is, they just need a Fire Rod and
Flippers.
Flippers too, and Titan Mitts. Though only really 3 key items, plus of course sword upgrades.
And the maybe medallions.
Indeed. Although with an early Bombos, you have to wonder if they're worrying about medallions or not.
Or if they're worried about Ice Palace.
Yes. Bombos Ice Palace is another possible play. Time Stalker. The bow was at the pyramid. Unfortunately for John, he went straight to Warp Flute Point 5 and didn't actually go from Link's house, so he didn't check the pyramid yet.
Back to desert? Probably a misinput.
He might be trying to grind a little bit more money for Zora.
Oh, he might be going into Pod.
He might be. Looks like Panda's checking the northern graveyard with that mirror of his. That is going to work quite nicely for him, netting the hook shot.
Oh no, he's going for the pyramid.
Panda's making another Skull Woods play?
Or probably just going around Skull Woods instead of going through the town.
True, that's a possibility. And John finds that bow. You've got to imagine that he's feeling a bit silly about double dipping Eastern when bow was right there. And you got to imagine he's feeling maybe a little bit behind at that too.
But that seems to be sending him straight back to the eastern area. As well to note, Panda saw the bumper cave and it had only a heart container.
Panda cleaning up the bonk spots. And after that, he's not going to have many places to check. So he's probably going to head back to Palace of Darkness to get that green pendant maybe. Get some more items. Really, they don't have many more options. Palace of Darkness appears to be a huge gate.
Might see a high five in there.
Maybe. John does have the lead entering pod, but Panda has Eastern already completed, so it's a bit of a trade-off. Panda picking up his hookshot finally, as John, only at half a heart, enters pod.
At least he can just death warp.
That's as I was going to say. Is he going to death warp? No, he's going to
Nope.
mirror out.
And he finds a small key, so even without the bow, he wouldn't be locked out of it.
Honestly, when I play pod and gamble it without the bow, I like to find that it's bow locked, because then it's not a gamble of, do I do pod? It's, I can't do pod, look elsewhere.
True.
Fortunately, both these runners have the bow, so they're able to fully clear this.
Ooh, and a small key on that chest means he might just check both chests on this room at once. The top one and the bottom one.
Interestingly, they're only a fire rod away from a pedestal check. Panda heading for Zora. Looks like he didn't check it. Just a pile of cash on the ledge there. I don't recall if we had a Zora check on John's side.
I don't think so. Also, interesting to note, he does have the moon pearls, so surprisingly not doing the fake flippers instead for Zora to also check the waterfall.
He might not know about that glitch.
Oh!
Speaking of
Vanilla
flippers.
flippers!
That is huge. That actually could lead him to Swamp. We haven't
That is
seen.
not to expect.
Yeah. Those flippers could be leading him to Swamp, which is another crystal dungeon. He can fully clear it now, which might actually be the progression if Pod turns out to be a bust. Or the alternative, if Pod does have an item, it'll lead John or Panda on a wild goose chase away from there.
And the fountain having just some love. On pedestal, we could still find indeed medallions. We could find
Titan mitts,
Titan's Mitt.
a
And
book.
always as well a fetch quest for one of those.
Yeah. Or, of course, we could see the legendary sword on pedestal, and the other two swords locked away somewhere else.
Locked away on the tablets.
Tablets, G-Tower, either wouldn't be very preferable.
But in G Tower at least you can enter with only fighter sword.
Very true.
Also, John finding his Ether medallion.
Another medallion that they might be able to use for an early Turtle Rock gamble. Or Mire, should they find the Titan mitts. Panda heading straight for Swamp. Looks like Pod's gonna be on the back burner, which could be a bad thing for him if this ether turns out to be important later on, or perhaps if there's another item in Pod.
But the early swamp could also be a good play. So far,
Yeah.
nothing to be found on Pod except for Ether.
Although if this is a pedestal seed, oh, the Titans in Pod! That's
Never
huge for
mind.
John. John has a pretty significant advantage at this point, I'd say. And it'll be even worse if Panda finds another item in, such as the book in Swamp, leading him on more goose chases after another.
Now, a lot of the world will be open to John now, so it'll be curious which direction he would go first. Would he go to Mire and Desert? Since he can access Desert with the mirror.
That might not be a bad play. And if he's feeling brave enough, he can full clear both, assuming that Mire doesn't require Quake, and he could check Fat Fairy.
Also, he did not finish Pod. He just went out. Don't know if he got all of the items in there.
I'm not sure if he did either, but I don't blame him. It is a green pendant, however. It's quite a bit of a trek to Helmsor, and the chances are a pedestal seed is not looking likely at this point.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I'd say the worst thing that Panda could find in here would be a pile of fetch quest items. A bottle, the mushroom, the book. They would keep him distracted, and he wouldn't end up heading off to Pod to get his Titan mitts for quite a while.
But at least the bottle would have a small use of some healing for him.
Unless it comes complete with a B.
But now he has money to refill it. Yeah.
If Swamp has absolutely nothing, you might imagine that John might end up maybe go-moding Swamp later on. With flippers in such an out-of-place location, he might take a while to get them, and then that might be his go-mode item. And that would give John quite a bit of a time advantage, not having a full clear Swamp.
Yeah. The difference between Swamp at Go mode and full clear is huge.
Mostly due to the west side check. If he just lopped off all of west side Swamp, then it wouldn't actually be that bad. You got that one bomb room, you got the compass room, and then you got those two chests. They have to go down a little in the flooded room. Not honestly that much slower than, say, Eastern. John making quick work of the Armos Knights, getting his second crystal, making the crystal count tied for both of our runners.
Panda here in Swamp Palace will most likely have to do Argus with only the hookshot and hammer.
Looks like we've got John. He's going to try the fake flipper / water walking. Won't really give him much of an advantage though with vanilla flippers, but he will be getting those flippers, which might lead him to Swamp. John opting not to go to Hobo and do the reverse fake flippers. And Panda finds the Mirror Shield. Not necessarily a useful item, but if by any chance they need to head off into T-Rock, it does make a laser skip a lot easier.
And it seems like John is having some trouble swimming.
Panda looking like he doesn't have the big key, so he's going to have to backtrack once he gets there. He probably will, not having the Titan mitts, not knowing where they are. Panda's in a bit of a pickle as to deciding what exactly to do.
Yeah, if he finds nothing here, I think the pendant pod is probably one of the higher things on the priority list. Oh no!
John
Oof.
getting hit, but luckily he gets saved by landing back on shallow water. That could have been tragic. And of course we can't rule out Spike Cave with that Cane of Burna. John picking up his vanilla flippers. A really troll thing would be if Fire Rod were in a Spike Cave. Honestly, I think that's about the worst it can possibly get for our runners. Fire Rod in Spike Cave, and Quake required to enter T-Rock or Mire on the pedestal.
Also, be prepared to see Panda's menu a lot.
Fighter Sword Argus, aka Menu Fight the Boss, with that hammer. Argus having the big key. And John looks like he's following Panda's footsteps heading into Swamp. Unfortunately, he's not going to find anything.
Unless if it's something in the big chest. Still to be seen.
That would be worse, actually. Fire Rod on Cold Stare leading to Book in Skull, leading to Pedestal slash tablets for a sword or something. Really, you've got to be thinking that these runners, or at least John is, having the Titan's mitts, has to be thinking about gambling Ice Palace with the flippers he just got, with the Titan's mitts, with that bombos. Only a fighter sword, that would be a really nasty fight.
At least he also has the option of Mire and Desert. Oh, taking it very early on at least.
Yeah, better there than at Argus. Which, speaking of, Panda's doing a lot of spins on him.
That's what it'll take.
I don't blame him. You could use the hammer, however the hammer hitbox on Argus is always wonky. And we see Argus drop the big key. Is he going to backtrack and check the big chest? I imagine he will.
Unlikely that he won't. He does have both the map and compass, so there is an item in it.
Yeah. Fire Rod deep in Turtle Rock. I've been saying Turtle Rock, gamble early on this entire race. It is a possibility. In fact, they can actually enter Turtle Rock right now.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming that does not require Quake.
So, John, with after this, with 3 possibilities of either Desert Mire, either Ice Palace, or even Turtle Rock. Of checking it at least.
Turtle Rock isn't necessarily a bad play because he can also combo it with the rest of Dark Death Mountain, getting the 6 items from Super Bunny Cave and Hookshot Cave.
Also, the big chest having nothing of value.
That made Swamp a complete and utter bust, unfortunately for Panda.
I think Panda might have been thinking of Ice Palace before realizing he doesn't have the glove.
Maybe. Not exactly sure what Panda's doing, although it looks like he just misfluted, and is in fact headed to Pod. John, unfortunately, not being able to hit that switch from through the barrier with just the fighter sword.
Sometimes you just don't have that reach.
Although I'd honestly say that Panda has perhaps a mild lead over John. He doesn't have the Titans, however he's going to find them in Pod, and Pod is possibly a little bit shorter than Swamp, especially if you don't have to kill King Helmsaur, which we'll see if he decides to do so or not. If King Helmsaur dropping the green pendant and Sahasrara has something important, that could give him a huge edge over John.
That even if he doesn't, there is still a lot to see if the lead stays or goes away with all the different possibilities after.
Yeah, with 3 major locations to check, Mire, Ice, Turtle Rock, it's really just the game of who chooses the right place to look. There's things going for all 3 of them. Mire and Desert has a Fat Fairy backing them, Turtle Rock has East Death Mountain backing it, and Ice has, well, Ice is Ice. Nobody wants to do Ice. Then again, with Fighter Sword, nobody really wants to do any of these late game dungeons.
At least there's always Desert.
Desert is probably the best choice, I'd guess. It's pretty easy to check. It's a crystal. You can see what is required to open Mire. You can get the Mire overworld items. And if you're lucky, you might find a sword. Mire won't actually be that bad though with the bow. They will fortunately be able to bow Vitrios down, making it a much easier fight than a million Fighter Sword spins.
Yeah. And if they had the silver arrows, Vitrios is very satisfying.
Indeed. Vitrios goes down pretty quickly. If John isn't careful, he's going to take an untimely death here in late game Swamp. Yeah, without silvers, it'll require, I believe it's 35 arrows, assuming they don't miss a single shot. That's 3 times 9 eyes, plus another 8 for the big eye.
Those arrow upgrades will come in handy.
For once. Another option is they could throw a bunch of bombs at it.
You'd know about that.
Panda picking up his ether. He'll be picking up his titans shortly. And the runners are pretty neck and neck.
John realizing he cannot slash the puffs.
Yeah, the Fighter Sword, although a sword, is unfortunately not effective against a lot of these late Dark World bosses. Just pass through them like air.
Only with a spin can you harm them.
Panda about to pick up his titans if he doesn't get lost in the maze.
They might be exiting their dungeons at almost the same time, depending if Panda decides to kill Helmasaur or not.
King Helmsaur does have an item, but looks like Panda's going to save and quit. He's bailing.
I'd probably do the same.
Yeah, King Helmsaur is quite a ways out of the way, although he does have the green pendant, so it does double his value. Panda heading off to Mire, being the first to check the Mire location.
That's
Bombos
Bombos.
to enter. They got that pretty early.
He can clear if he's brave enough.
We could be seeing some swords at Fat Fairy, maybe?
and heading to desert now.
Not a bad play, all things considered.
I'll also leave you with full health for the mire.
And there's the fire rod on the torch in desert.
Assuming no quake required for Turtle Rock, they have everything to finish it now.
Indeed they do. And that could give Panda a tremendous lead if John decides to go elsewhere, such as Ice or Dark Death Mountain.
And I believe Panda is also just one sword away from go mode. Does need Master Sword to harm Ganon.
I believe you are correct. Although, we'll see how comfortable our runners are with Master Sword Silverless. Yeah. No bottles, green mail, only 12 hearts, which isn't that many all things considered. That is there are a lot of safety items missing. So you've got to wonder, even if they do find the remaining items, how long are they going to keep searching in order to get the safety items?
And it appears John is also headed to Mire.
That's good for John. Oh, is John's heading into Mire and not heading off into desert? Assuming he does desert after Mire, he'll still pick up his fire rod.
But lacking the fire rod in Mire will make it a bit slower.
Yeah, making a few chests take quite a bit longer.
And also, with gonna utilize that luckily placed fire rod to kill the... what's their name again? Moldugas, I think? Nobody ever calls them by
Landmolus,
their
I
name.
believe.
Oh, could be.
With half magic, he'll be able to gun them down pretty easily, assuming he doesn't miss.
And there it is. Just a sliver of magic left.
Landmolas are definitely one of the trickier fights to optimize and do quickly.
It's one of the items of Mire. Bloomerang.
The inferior model.
Ooh, an early big key.
Panda following in John's footsteps, not actually checking Checkerboard Cave.
Probably gonna leave it for afterwards. That way, after checking it, you can just flute right away without having to take the portal back.
Normally that would be a wise routing decision, however, with only a fighter sword, you've got to imagine that if Checkerboard Cave does have a sword, they'll be feeling pretty silly having done Fighter Sword Mire when they could have done Master Sword.
True.
Looks like we've got a bunch of small keys on the east side of this dungeon.
There's the second item.
He doesn't need to go digging any further. All things considered, that was a pretty fast Mire. Two
Yeah,
items
even
right away. Didn't need to do
No.
the vanilla big key.
Does he need an extra key in Mire?
No, he does not. In Misery Mire, you can complete it with 0 keys
Well,
once
that's
you
quite good.
get to the big key door. Although he's still picking up a small key.
To reach the big door.
You can actually reach it without a small key if you go on the left side and take the teleporter. Did John item count? He's
I think.
What's John
Oh.
looking for?
No idea. An extra key, maybe? Maybe he doesn't know that you can do it with just 0 keys.
Well, he's got many keys should he need them. Is he going to go do the big key? No, he's not going to check the vanilla big key chest. But we see Panda, in that quick amount of time, he's already surpassed him in Mire onto the dark basement below.
But did
You can
Panda
see-
pick up the heart? Oh yeah, probably didn't go to the compass.
He probably did. Panda, another option is Panda might be gambling that we've got a sword upgrade in Ganon's tower, and he might be feeling confident with Master Sword Silverless for some reason. I don't know why anyone would feel confident about that, but
You never know. Being ahead, but with an inferior sword, could cost you the race, as well as happened with Zero Rush against Christos.
indeed. And he might be feeling behind with not getting those Titan mitts, and instead fully clearing Swamp when it had absolutely nothing. He's probably thinking that that Swamp gamble cost him a lot of time.
Pretty good Vitreous so far.
He did take the one hit early on, but so far he's been... Oh, and he took another, but with arrows, there won't be much of a threat of the big eyeball. Picks up a small key, and now the question is he going to go do Fat Fairy?
That is available.
It's not necessarily a bad idea.
It is rather time-consuming for 2 chests when you could also go to Ice Palace if you're feeling brave.
True, but with their low safety items, it might not be a bad idea. Panda going to check Checkerboard Cave first, however.
Oh no, John ran out of arrows.
Unfortunately, he's having trouble hitting the hitting that eye with Burna. Burna does not allow you to do spins, and is unfortunately a Oh, and he takes the death. That's costly.
And Panda is going for the Fat Fairy play.
I'm trying to think of where are the worst possible places for the swords to be. Pedestal, obviously. Green pendant, maybe. And just stick another one on the tablet. Or just stick
Or-
both of them on the
Yeah,
tablets, I
both on
guess.
tablet and the pedestal. That is the worst case scenario. Oh, John checking first the checkerboard cave, maybe hoping for a sword. Deciding to do desert first now.
That's not a bad idea. Although, unfortunately, it won't pay off tremendously. He will get the Fire Rod, which isn't a required item for Turtle Rock, but it won't give him the sword upgrade he so desires. We could be looking at perhaps a vanilla Fat Fairy if we get a sword upgrade in silvers. A bottle? And a sword upgrade!
Ah.
Panda must be feeling pretty happy after that.
Now, depending on where the other swords are, Vitreous with Fighter Sword might have been required.
It might have been. He's going to go check the sick kid. Hopefully he'll get a tempered sword. The book!
Oh, that just opens up all the tablets. And yes,
Now
we do
that is
have
very
Schrodinger's
interesting.
Go mode.
He's technically in go mode, assuming that Quake isn't required, but with
I do believe he's going to check that now.
yes. Although I can't imagine that he'd willingly do Master Sword Silverless.
You can always hope that there's an upgrade in Ganon's, and if you don't find it there, searching it afterwards.
I can probably imagine I'll probably check Dark Death Mountain and the Ether Tablet before diving into Turtle Rock. That is correct. Ganon does tell where the silvers are. However, if they're in a very awful spot, like what if silvers are on pedestal, that could happen. Another bottle. Now they're getting all the bottles and a tempered sword.
They could have had that earlier.
They could have indeed.
Well, at least that sword, not tempered.
Yes, but that still would have made it a lot better of a fight. Although, if John doesn't check Fat Fairy, he might just rush Turtle Rock, get that, and might not ever check Fat Fairy, in which he'll be down a sword upgrade.
Ooh, apparently Turtle Rock was Ether, so this is Go mode. I mean, tempered as well, unless if Panda doesn't know how to do Silverless. I don't assume we're checking any chest that is out of the way.
Let's hope that he does, and that the silvers aren't in a terrible spot like Sahasrara or Pedestal.
Ooh, our first Mayo. And our second Mayo. All at the same cave. Okay. What is this, like a cave or a shopping mall?
Dark Death Mountain is the place of all the safeties, it would seem. Both males, a bottle, a sword.
At this point, probably just not doing Turtle Rock to leave it to just go from there straight to Ganon's Tower.
At this point, that's probably highly likely. He's picking up some more potions, and I guess he'd make an Ice Palace play at this point.
Yeah, Ice Palace at Go mode, very quick.
Unless he doesn't know how to do Ice Palace bomb jump. I mean, we've been calling the seat Trolley, but we're only an hour and 24 minutes in, and already we do have a Go mode. So, it is pretty fast. We could be seeing Panda done in as quickly as 30 minutes.
And John is going to Ice Palace.
Oh, that is going to severely hurt John. He doesn't have nearly any of the safeties that Panda has.
And he is gonna have to fully complete it.
Indeed. He's still looking for a bunch of safety items.
Might find a sword or silvers at least.
He might. Although, I think one of John's very few chances of a comeback are that silvers are on pedestal and John can do silverless and Panda can't.
That would be.
That would completely turn this around, but other than that, this Ice Palace is going to take a lot longer for John to do. He's going to have to do
Oh.
Ice Palace bomb jump's so fun, he just had to do it twice.
Just practicing for the next race. Good thing they went and bought the other potion, because they might need it after this.
Yeah.
Oh, John not. Oh yeah, John has the full clear, so doesn't have to do the bomb jump.
Although there's a possibility that he doesn't know how.
That's true as well. And get a little safety fairy. Close by,
Safety
not a
is
bad
never.
idea.
It's never a bad idea. And Panda's entering his cold stare fight. Looks like he's using Bombos, and then he's gonna switch to the Fire Rod to completely destroy the puffs. Fire Rod does the same amount of damage as Butter. Sword to the Cold Stare. Just four of those, and
That was very
Cold
quick.
Stare is down. You might say it was the quickest of Cold Stare kills.
Oh why? Hello there, Willard. John being tossed around like a pinball.
Yeah, you've got to hate the ice physics. Panda unfortunately mirroring into a rock. Gonna have to try again.
Now for Turtle Rock. Gonna be the final dungeon. Before Ganon's Tower.
That boulder gave Panda some chase.
Heat-seeking boulders.
Coming to V27, a version near you.
Oh no.
Getting bunny-fied. Although with John having to check all these items, there's a possibility that he'll find silvers and the 4th sword upgrade.
But look at how Panda is just quickly going through everything. You might think they don't need silvers for Ganon.
Yeah. Silvers aren't required, but they don't hurt. They do definitely speed things up by a minute or two. A thing to actually look at is Panda's low arrow count. He only has 6 arrows. And if he continues this low arrow count going into G Tower, that could actually give him some problems.
Well, 4 is all you need.
4 for a Ganon. Or, no wait, no silvers. Yeah, 4 for the Igors, however. Not counting for a miss, or if they have to do Ice Armos, that could slow down Panda quite a bit.
Right, no, the Igors, right, it's normal arrows. It's actually 2 per Igor, isn't it?
Yes, 2 per Igor. But there is
rather Mimic.
Mimic Igor, yeah. But there is a pod with 5 arrows in the second Mimic Rim, so if you get through the first, you can get another 5.
Yeah, extra arrows would more be helpful on the Gauntlet. But
Gauntlet,
Fire
yeah.
Sword, half magic.
Yeah, we might end up having to dig for arrows and get lucky that way. Looking like a really fast Go Mode Turtle Rock.
A lot of keys already.
John at his Cold Stare fight. Let's see how this goes. With only the Fighter Sword, he does have half magic, but no safety potions, meaning this is not going to be an easy fight, especially with the green mail. Oh, he can't take another one of those hits.
At least 2 are down already.
And it was done. Thankfully he had half magic, otherwise that would have been a completely different fight. Time Stalker. I don't believe we know what the stun item drop is.
Alright, after all this time. I'm not even sure if any of them checked it.
Yeah, it's not often a thing that's checked. You just think, oh yeah, enemies drop random items when you kill them.
Ooh, the jumpy thing being left with 1 head.
Now, if Panda doesn't check the big chest, this could bite him later on, but only if the big chest and the big key chest are both small keys. Very unlikely, but still a possibility. We see John checking the hobo. He still hasn't done that. He's probably looking for safety items.
They're all located in Death Mountain. And which is where he finally headed to.
That's good. He'll be able to get his red mail, at least 1 sword upgrade, although not going to Fat Fairy, meaning he'll be a bottle and a sword upgrade shorter, which could definitely slow him down. Panda finding the cape in that location of all places.
Oh, it's another thing that will make Ganon easier.
Would have made several fights earlier easier, such as Vitrios. As we see Panda, he doesn't even need to check the Eye Laser Bridge, but he is going to. Maybe he's looking for silvers. John finally picks up his bottle and his sword, as Panda finds the mushroom. That could be interesting.
Well, if it does eventually go to get more potions, no reason not to check what it is.
Very true. Might be silvers, might be butter. Another bottle.
And right, John is now in go mode as well.
Although he's still going to get the red mail from Hookshot Cave, which will please him greatly. Especially with the Master Sword Trinex fight. Which fortunately he has half magic for.
John going to Turtle Rock as well. At this point, probably feeling like doesn't have time to waste traveling to Meyer and then traveling back. Well, he probably will have to do all the travels anyway.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that that both these runners were neglected all these good swords and other safety items for so long.
Easy Trinex. And butter!
The butter!
Well, John's probably gonna get that.
That does make him not checking Fat Fairy a lot less painful. And if he doesn't find silvers, he won't have to do Master Sword silverless.
Too true. Now, explain to me one thing. Usually when we enter Ganon's Tower, I see everybody in chat spamming a lot of numbers. Whatever does it mean?
What it means, my dear commentator, is we guess what chest or location that we think the big key is going to be in. I'm going to, for example, I'll guess that it's in Bob's chest.
Oh.
Chat, feel free to hop in with the guesses.
I'm gonna go with the lucky number 18.
We see him going to the right side first. Common strategy. Now, what a lot of people do is if they get a small key, they go right side first, like what he's doing right now.
Well, they also do a gamble and check early tile room.
It could be tile room.
Oh.
I mean, checking early right side isn't necessarily a bad play. It is 4 items, not counting tile room, and doesn't take that long to check.
Especially since you save some time by not having to mirror out.
Although you pretty much would want to mirror out, as the right side getting to the Ice Armos is quite a bit longer than left side going to Ice Armos.
Not paying off. But going to get that small key, probably.
Most likely. He might even head off to Ice Armos, in which his low arrow count might actually prove to be detrimental.
Doesn't look like it. That was 6 chests already. More to go.
Small key on the torch. Rest in peace, Bob. So, if we kill Bob, then is it still Bob's chest?
Oh, there it is.
And there's the another bottle with a fairy in it, a nice safety fairy. Panda still checking just a few extra chests for silvers, but looks like he's going to be heading back up. So that was chest number
8.
8. So if you guessed 8, then you are our lucky winner of the day. Or night. Whatever time zone you're in.
We had a 7. I guess that's close enough.
Only off by 1?
Ooh. Doesn't have the arrows.
No,
Or did-
he is
no,
cutting it really
There
close.
is some on this room, right?
Yes, under one of these pots. But the question is, does he know that? He does.
Ah, there it is.
John, full clearing T-Rock, might be looking for another sword or silvers. That's probably what he's doing. He doesn't know that sword upgrade on Trinex. Although if he does get silvers, that will give him a little bit of a time advantage. Also, if he doesn't go right side.
But at this point, I doubt that time advantage would be enough to take down this lead that Panda has.
Unfortunately, that is correct. John still has Mire to do, which will take him another 5 minutes, I guess. It would take Panda to despawn G-Tower.
Twice.
And several falls to Trolldorm. But that is the nature of a randomizer. With so many options opened up, it's just, sometimes it's the play of who checks the correct location out of a list of many. Panda making quick work of the gauntlet, however.
Very, very good gauntlet. Last room always a doozy though.
Yeah, with the ice physics slowing Link down to a crawl. Fortunately, he has the boots, so he'll be able to move around much more easily than without. That's an interesting question. If you had silvers against Ganon, but not enough for the kill, would it help to start with silvers, or would you be better off straight silverless?
Definitely straight silverless.
Definitely. If I'm not mistaken, the silverless versus silvers, they damage Ganon in different ways using different counters, and so it doesn't matter how many silver arrows you pump into Ganon, it doesn't actually change the amount of hits it'll take to do silverless.
Oh. Did not know about that.
Then again, I might be mistaken, but I think that's the case.
Let's see if Ben also checks these for chests for silvers.
He
Looks
might
like
get
it.
lucky. Although the real important question is he going to validate his run?
As long as he doesn't find silvers on this next chest, most likely.
Meanwhile, John's doing his Master Sword Trinex fight, which is definitely a lot harder than Tempered or Butter, but with half magic, it's a lot easier than without.
And Panda ending Moldorm without it even having a chance to do something.
Validation 10 arrows.
Not silver, but they were arrows.
And he did validate his run, so that's all that we care about, right?
Right indeed. I'm gonna have Alucard very happy as well.
John taking quite a few hits from Trinex. He can only take one more with that red mail before he dies.
Take it slow, big circles. There it is.
And he's going to be very pleased with that tempered sword. Meanwhile, Panda's doing Aga.
Having some troubles there.
These aren't necessarily the best of patterns.
I think validating started even before tourneys. I think it was a thing before they had like the hashes for the seeds. The validation was, so to speak, if they were on the same seed.
Yes. I believe
So
that's
the theory I heard.
the case. Although that was before I got into Rando, so I wouldn't
me
really
too.
know.
That is the legend I heard.
And what's Ganon's message for the day? Get that space glow. So before we get to the Ganon Silvers hint, where do you think Silvers are going to be?
At this point, it would be funny if it wasn't pedestal.
I'm gonna put my money on, let's say, King Helmsaur pod.
Dark World. Where does that lead?
Dark World could be Hammer Pegs. I don't believe either of them checked Smithy or Purple Chest. No, those are Light World, I think. Hammer Pegs is Dark World, though.
Yeah.
Also, Spike Cave is another possibility. I did say that it could have something.
It's true. I don't think either of them opted to check it.
They
It's
didn't.
so close.
Panda's gonna have to be careful with the amount of magic he's using with the Silverless. I believe he has a blue
yeah.
and possibly green potion, but
Blue goop, green goop, and even a fairy.
yes, he's well outfitted.
Didn't quite get the torch glitch, which does help a lot on this fight, but
Yeah, fortunately he has half magic, so
Yeah.
that counters that effect, I'd say.
I'm sure where Ganon was, that was a good idea to not go for the torches.
Yeah. Many times, you can knock those torches off, light them up, and then turns out Ganon's right next to you and he knocks you into the pit.
Should be one or more hit to go, one or two.
Yeah, he's very close.
There it is. GG.
GG indeed.
The Panda finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 5 seconds. I mean, see if they'd be interested in a interview.
John killing Vitrios on his side, getting the last crystal he needs.
Hello, GG.
Hey everybody, how's it going? GG.
Ooh.
Congrats on winning, Panda.
I really don't feel like I deserve it, but thank you.
It was quite a seed, wasn't it? The beginning was a bit closed and trolly, but then it started opening up a lot.
Yeah, it was a really low equipment seed for a really long time. Everything good was really gated behind the mitts, and the mitts were in, what was it? Pendant,
Pod.
Palace of
Pod.
Darkness, yeah. So that was a hard call to make. But, once you got the mitts, it really started to open a lot of stuff up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Towards the beginning of the run, you were behind by a little bit, but I think what really turned it around was you checked Fat Fairy, which had another sword upgrade and a bottle, where John didn't, and so you both went to ice at around the same time, but you had tempered, John had fighter sword, and that slowed John down quite a bit.
Yeah, fighter swords are real rough and ice. Is he in tower now?
He's
Heading towards it
yeah.
now. He had some troubles with Meyer. Decided to do it first before Desert as well, and maybe that threw him off a bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had a few deaths.
Yeah, I had a couple early game deaths I was pretty mad at, and I made a bunch of little mistakes in the beginning that were really starting to weigh me down, but I just tried to shake it off and keep going.
Yeah, also interesting that as soon as it opened up a lot, neither of you went to Death Mountain, which had quite some good stuff. Both males on the same cave and a sword upgrade.
Yeah, I usually what I'll do in that situation is I'll check Turtle Rock, just to make sure I'll know when my go mode is. But since I knew that 5 and 6 were Desert and Mire, that was like the biggest thing in my head. So I was like, I gotta go straight to Desert and Mire as soon as I can and knock those out and get the Fat Fairy.
Yeah, not a bad choice since you managed to beat both of them.
Yeah.
Real close to running out of arrows on Vitreous, though.
Yeah, we saw that, and we were worried that your low arrow count might come into play in Ganon's Tower, but fortunately you had just enough to finish.
Yeah, I ran out on that last red idol, and I was freaking out until I remembered that there's 5 under that pot.
Fortunately, Ice Armos were not required, otherwise it might have been a different story.
Yeah, and I think usually when, because I did the right side gamble and I was going to go to Ice Armos, and I think in my head I knew that I didn't have that many arrows, but I didn't consciously know it. So then that's, I think, why I mirrored and went to the left side, which turned out to be the right choice anyway, since the key was right there. I do wonder where in the Dark World the silvers were. Did
Yeah.
you find the silvers?
No, we were
No.
wondering that.
We've narrowed it down to, I believe, either Spike Cave or Hammer Pegs.
Yeah, I think those are the only places it could be. I know that when I was in Pod, I was thinking if I didn't find the mitts in there, what I was going to do is I was going to head back up to Death Mountain, get the second item out of Tower of Hera that I couldn't get the first time I went there because I didn't have a fire source, and then check Spike Cave, but then luckily I didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, we actually thought it might be a pedestal seed for quite a while if you had gotten a much earlier fire rod. We speculated that maybe Titan mitts were perhaps on pedestal because of the pendant dungeons.
Yeah, they could have been. That would have been real interesting. But it probably wouldn't have changed that much, because I still would have ended up in Pod.
Yeah, you would have. When you had when you got the flippers and you went into Swamp, and then you found that Swamp had nothing, what was your thought process at the time? When you realized, oh, I've full cleared Swamp, it was had nothing in it. You must have been worried, or...
I think at the time I was just so focused on not dying stupidly to Argus, but I was really frustrated by that. I kind of thought that something had to be in there. And at that point I was just kind of starting to think, I'm gonna have to head into pod soon.
Yeah, John did pretty much the inverse of you there. You went to swamp while he did pod, and then you did pod while he was in swamp.
Interesting.
That's where your lead first emerged. You got out of pod about a minute-ish, maybe a little less, before he got out of swamp.
And
Yeah,
then from
I do-
there it was pretty much just ice and GT.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, what about those vanilla flippers?
Yeah, that's the wild. That I was doing that whole beginning of the seed, and it came down to a decision between Bat and Zora, and I decided to go Bat and got the pearl and never went to Zora. But then later I, did, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting to see such an early required magic bat.
Yeah, you don't often see hammer and powder that fast, but that's one of those things that you almost kind of don't think about in your early routing. You can do is that if you have those things, you can actually hit up bat.
Yeah. It was actually a well done lampless Eastern that you pulled off.
Well, the second time, the first time I died.
Well, yeah.
Perseverance paid off a bit.
A bit. I was really hoping something was there because that was when I found the bow on the pyramid, and I was thinking, oh well, this has to lead to something, and I'm just missing the lantern somewhere. And of course, it didn't.
Yeah, that's another point where you pulled ahead of Panda. Panda went to Eastern. He didn't actually gamble early Eastern, but after finishing off Swamp with the Titans, he went to Eastern before getting the bow at the pyramid, so he had to double dip Eastern right after each other.
I will point out that I am Panda, actually.
Sorry, John. I'm sorry.
That's alright, man.
Racing against yourself.
Hey, look, if anybody beats me most of the time, it's usually me. I really am my own worst enemy.
That's how it tends to go. Especially since you're a lot of the times racing against your own splits or your own time.
Yeah, you're your own biggest critic.
Ain't that the truth? That's about all I really got to say, fellas. I don't really know. Where's John at now?
Finishing up G Tower, he's almost to Trolldorn.
Any final words? Anything you'd like to say before?
Just keep trucking. When you make mistakes, you just gotta keep moving and don't let it weigh you down too much.
Well said.
Yeah, and thanks for running, and congrats on your win.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for casting.
No problem.
Alright, have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.
And people, be sure to follow our runner.
Make sure to follow both of our runners, John and Panda, for putting together this amazing race for both of us, and all of you guys, too. Looks like John is still looking for silvers.
I hope he can do silverless.
I hope you can do that too. Although, those aren't the trolliest silver locations.
That's true.
It's not Pedestal, it's not King Helmasaur.
I think it's at Dark World and not Light World.
Yeah, Light World would have been Pedestal, Sahasrara, maybe one or two other item locations. Both tablets.
Also the Smiths and the Purple Chest.
Yeah, that too.
Let's see as well what other races we have coming up. is 10 p.m. Eastern, which means there is one race just starting on Randomizer Mania 3.
Yeah,
If
it's
you want to check that, it's Lanxion versus Lyra. Hopefully did not butcher that. And I do believe that there's a race that started half an hour ago in the Speed Gaming too. Carcat versus Maximum Barge.
They've got a lot of races tomorrow. Tomorrow's filled all day. From
When
8 a.m. Eastern all the way to 11 p.m. all along Randomizer Mania, all for channels, and on Speed Gaming on the main schedule too for the main tournament.
And as well, in 1 hour and a half, we have an exciting race. Kyong versus ACMLM. On Speed Gaming 2.
That'll be an exciting race. Both really good players fought their way into the main tournament. So John on to Ganon. Let's see how his Ganon fight goes.
Oh yeah.
He's jumping in there silverless. He doesn't have as many potions as John did, or Panda did.
He is missing the blue potion from the fairy, right?
I believe Panda bought a blue potion.
Oh, was it? Oh.
It might be the green potion from the fairy.
Oh, okay.
But as long as he uses the lamp and gets a torch glitch, with half magic he should be fine with magic, as long as he doesn't take too many hits.
Does have the fairy as well.
The fairy's a very nice safety item to have, and red mail of course. Reduces most of the damage down.
Ah, fairy was a bee. Panda released for the blue to buy a blue potion.
Then John definitely has a green potion at least. So, assuming that he's able to do silverless, we'll see how this goes. He might just be doing G Tower to find find where the silvers are. No,
Well,
he's going for it.
silvers, at least.
Oh,
no.
he didn't get torch glitch. Yeah, that was a dangerous place to stand. He's also really low on health. Although, again, he does have that fairy.
Still a lot of spins to go.
12 spins in total. It is possible to get 3 spins per cycle. Oh, he takes a death, but he does have his fairy.
But I believe that was the last backup he had.
I believe it was too. It is possible to get 3 spins per cycle of torches going out, however it's quite difficult. You have to time it all just right.
We'll have to be quite lucky with the teleports as well.
That too.
Oh no. Might have to go search for the arrows if he dies.
I have a feeling that if he dies, he'll probably do that. He knows he's lost, and without all these safeties, I imagine at least get some potions.
Yeah. And I don't blame him if he will search for the silver arrows. Silverless can be a bit tricky without practice, and especially if you're a bit tilted.
And even more so when you have to worry about both torches as opposed to just one.
Yeah.
Without torch glitch, silverless is it's a lot tighter on the timing. that wasn't at least it didn't get knocked off there, which is what I was worried might happen.
Should be getting a couple of hits in now. Might still be able to do it. Does he remember he has the green potion?
Let's hope he does.
Oh,
Oh, he doesn't.
I don't remember him using it previously. Oh well.
Well, I mean, if he's uncomfortable with Silverless, he might not think that he'll be able to finish it before he runs out.
True.
That, and he was just get these silvers and not have to deal with that, or get some more potions.
And let's see if he'll opt. Oh, well, now he's gonna find out that he had. Oh, it was oh, he had 2 fairies. I guess he did use his green potion then.
True, and he only has 1 bottle also, or 1 bottle less than Panda had, so...
Yeah. I wonder, where did he use the green potion?
Possibly on the Trinex fight.
Oh, true.
Even with half magic, Master Sword Trinex is never easy.
Forgetting that he needs some magic as well.
Yeah. He does have plenty of money, though. So round 2 Ganon. Hopefully this will go better for him. Though he still lacks the silver arrows.
But he seems to have been getting warmed up at the ending. He was getting more hits in.
Yeah. There's a possibility that, I mean, we know where the only 2 locations it could be, but there might have been some locations that Panda checked that John didn't. So John might have a much larger wild goose chase to go on for silvers.
True.
Moving on to phase 3. Made quick work of the first 2 phases.
No big issues with tempered or butter.
Fortunately, he did pick up the tempered sword. Otherwise, he might be having troubles. Master Sword Ganon is never fun, with or without silvers.
Yeah, indeed.
And he makes sure he gets the torch glitch this time, so that'll also help his silverless a lot. Makes me wonder where Quake Medallion was.
Oh yeah. That could have been somewhere in Ganon's tower.
Most likely, probably along with the last bottle.
There are also some dungeons they didn't even enter. Right? Or no? Oh yeah, they did get a lot of items on the pendant ones.
Yeah, and I believe they both fully cleared Skull Woods. That's where they got the shovel for the mirror.
Right, yeah. And Pod having also necessary items.
Yeah, although King Helmosaurus still has an item, plus the green pendant. And of course, we have a purple chest in Smithy.
John seems to be taking it better now.
Yeah, this is going significantly better, fortunately for him.
Yes, Cole had half magic and the shovel for mirror. And you needed the mirror for the fire rod as well.
And GG.
GG. Let's see. JohnRossums finishing with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 52 seconds. Yeah, the seed did start quite trolly.
Yeah,
It
the
took a
start
lot
of it
to-
was
It took a lot to get some useful things too, like the swords and all.
yeah, fighter sword for all these hard bosses, especially on John's side. Definite kudos to John for doing fighter sword for so long, such as fighter sword Cold Stare and Vitrios. Well,
Yeah.
he died to Vitrios, but he still tried it.
Hello, GG.
Hello. Thank you so much.
That was quite well, even for a seed as
GG.
sometimes trolly as this one.
Yeah, I think that I went well the first like half an hour, I don't know, but then I start to dying, and that tilted me a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually correct. You were in the lead for the first half hour or so, but then I think the real turning point was when you double dipped Eastern. That's when you lost your lead, and then
Yeah. Mhm.
another.
I mean, sorry. Yeah, I double dip EP, and then I died 2 times blind, and I died one time at Vitrius, Misery Myers boss.
Yeah, that death to Vitrios did cost you because you weren't able to get Fat Fairy. Fat Fairy had another bottle and the 4th sword upgrade.
Oh, yeah. And the silvers, where were they?
We don't know. They were either in Spike
Oh.
Cave or Hammer Pegs.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I was trying to find silvers in Ganon Tower. I mean, in the last 3 chests, and then I think, wow, this is my first silverless Ganon. I hope I can.
Congrats.
I was thinking in that moment, I hope that I can pull it out well. And I drain out of magic, and that was such a time loss too.
But you did show improvement in it throughout the fight as well. In the beginning, you weren't hitting a lot, but as it went on, you started hitting more and more hits on him.
Yeah, and that second fight, Silverless, was absolutely amazingly done.
Thank you. I don't know how I did that, but I think that I need more serverless practice.
It is always something good to practice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What else? What about that vanilla flippers? I'm like asking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of I think that Sora has something good because it was like and glows really early, and it's kind of, I think, the logic of the receive kind of had something good in Sora. So I thought that the King Sora has something good, but I didn't want to go unless I have the all the money. I thought to go like waterfall fields first with fake flippers, but I want to do all the section like in just one run. So I kind of delayed the Sora as long as I had the 500 rupees.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, and another big thing was when you dived into Ice Palace with just the fighter sword. That cost you quite a lot of time. Any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We will see at the credits or the stats of the run. Sorry, that I think there was like 5 bosses in Fighter Sword. So that really hurts me because in the most of my seats, I kind of have at least Master Swords early. So Fighter Sword, for I don't know half of the run, it was new to me and it was painful. So does the males, the red male and the blue male who was in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, both from the same
Yeah.
cave.
Yeah, it was. I kind of in the practice suit also. I kind of have at least a blue suit early, so going in green suit, especially in Dark World, with the enemies hitting so hard, that was really painful.
Yeah, this was not a friendly seed with all the safeties being so late in this run.
Yeah, but it was a fun seed. I mean, for me, it was good to practice Silverless Ganon, and I think it went well.
Yeah, it did go well, all things considered.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
the fighter sword code stare was also a very good fight.
Oh my
The
god.
fire rod and half magic did help too, but it went
Yeah.
very well.
That Cold Stare fight was really well done.
Yeah, I was so low on health, and I thought to farm. I think that Von Bubble Wall has some cards just before the Polster fight. But I think to myself, no, I need to go fast. So I went there, and the first thing that I noticed that I didn't know was that fighter swords do not hurt the little gooey things in Colster. So then I realized that I had the hammer, so I went hammer, and I have like a half of heart, like the half of the match, the boss fight. So it was again something new to me, but then I kind of pulled it off, uh, even if it was a little slow in the fight.
Yeah, a lot of Dark World bosses can't be hit by the fighter sword.
Mm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Mm.
Also, there was that very fun chain in Skull Woods to get the shovel to get the mirror, which you
Yeah.
needed to get hookshot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Although I'm grateful that Schoolwood being a pendant, it has the items right in the first phase of the dungeon.
Yeah. We thought for a
Mm.
while that it might be a pedestal seed with like pedestal titan mitts or something, but
Mm.
the fire rod didn't play along.
Yeah. Oh, Dino's Meat were also for me like kind of hidden, but I finally I don't recall where were the meats.
Pod.
But
Palace of
yeah,
Darkness.
yeah,
You did get them earlier than Panda.
yeah. I now I remember. I was really glad that I found meats in pot because when I was going in, I was thinking to myself like, oh shit, pod, it doesn't have anything and it's abandoned, and what are you gonna do? And then meats appear, and I felt really happy.
Pod also did have ether required to open Turtle Rock.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. So it was a good pod after all.
Any other things you like to say about the seed or in general?
It was for me. It was a hard seed, but it was really fun also, and it kind of helped me practice a lot of things. So I'm grateful with the seed, and I think that also for organizational things, I think that the seed was really good, and the organization of the tournament is really good. And I'm very grateful for this. All the things are you doing in the main tournament and in the secondary tournament. So all good. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for racing. Everybody be sure to follow JohnRossums as well. I hope I said that correctly. And
Yeah.
also remember to follow Kevin, my fellow commentator.
And be
Okay.
sure to follow Gabus Ver, my fellow commentator, too.
Thank you. And don't forget our very helpful tracker Blastag and our restreamer Clifford.
Yes. And we'll be hosting Randomizer Mania 3 with a match between Lyra and I forget the second person racer, but be sure to follow them too.
Lanxion.
Yes, thank you.
All right. See you, everybody.
Goodbye.